Hi guys, welcome to CYC. Today I want to have an adult conversation about our current social, medical, everything sort of situation that we're in at the moment. I'm not going to use the name because that does get it suppressed or fact checked or like whatever else, but we all know what I'm on about. I'm not going to come at you with statistics, facts, or even whether something works or doesn't work. This is a psychology channel, so we're just going to be focusing on the psychology for it today. First step is to recognize that the adult conversation isn't happening at the moment, and it's been due for quite a while. And by the adult conversation, not to be condescending, but the fact that what we are in at the moment is no longer a pandemic, it is endemic, meaning that there is no world in the future that does not have this particular flu in it. It is just we're at a stage where it's that really can't happen. It's really not possible. It's unfair to expect it of us. So with that being said, if we're able to acknowledge that, if we're able to accept that, we need to start having the conversation of how are we living with it, because there are risk factors in many things in life, and we need to know what risk we're willing to take. And they're like, for sure, there's probably going to be a new normal. Maybe masks are going to be it. Mandating injections, I really hope is not it. That is a couple of steps down the wrong path. When you are forcing that you can reference your Nuremberg laws and all the rest, which came after, like, you know, your Nazis in Germany, and you have like the whole thing, like, which people on one side are like, yeah, and the other people on the other side are just like, yeah, whatever. So there's no winning that argument. Let's not bring it up. But we need to kind of come to a place where we say, hey, there is a risk. 100% there's a risk. And it is more than the flu we were used to before. So maybe we do want to curtail it. We do want to adjust ourselves a little bit. What does that look like? Because obviously what we've been doing so far isn't great. So I'm starting this. Hopefully this will be a conversation. I do want responses from this. So just let me know what you think. Okay, so for the psychology, whatever, one of the most pressing issues is the masks. There are 42 muscles in your face, and we are evolved to recognize each other from expression. Like, we are social creatures. We literally make sense of the world through others, which is why you have like the whole issue of echo chambers and going down rabbit holes, and like you have those bits where you surround yourself with it and therefore get obsessed by it and become like an expert in this kind of wishy-washy thing, or like whatever it is. You can go full on conspiracy. As like, I'm sure there's some expert there that will tell me how iron doesn't melt at a certain temperature because of jet fuel, and we all know that conspiracy. But so we are social creatures. We make sense of the world through others, by them informing us, but also by us throwing stuff at them and seeing how it works. So us losing, we're losing bandwidth. We're losing the amount of information we're able to transfer, basically. So maybe I'm able to tell you the information, the kind of like the really scientific, here's the stats, here's the whatever, but you're getting no kind of sense of personhood from me. And that is the difference between me saying some statistic and me giving you a story. The story tends to work better because you're able to relate to it. Now, if you see that as a gradation, as some bit of a spectrum rather than just black or white, instead of just stats or story, there's a bit of wiggle room along there. And really the masks take away just a little bit from that story side, that side that makes it more personable, which makes us feel more secure. It's the thing that gives us security, because we say, hey, these people aren't just operating on facts, they are people, and I relate to them, and there is goodwill there because I know them and I understand them at a level that I can't quite put into words. I get them, or they get me, or we just have this unspoken thing, like whatever, like there's 100 different ways to phrase different relationships. I get it. But you're definitely shortening that spectrum by wearing masks or by having everyone wear masks. So that's one thing to consider in this conversation that needs to be had. Like, maybe we will have to wear them, I don't know, but it needs to be considered and talked about. Second thing then, sticking on the masks, but kind of bringing in that sense of fear that we're all having for each other. Let's do a thought experiment just for a second. If every mask had like a Nike sign on it, like that tick, that'd be really good advertising. Like, as in man, that would be marketing you could not buy. That is, it would seep into our collective consciousness for generations. Just, it would be such a strong advertising tool if all the masks had that little tick on it. Now, of course, this is a thought experiment. I'm being a bit facetious because there's no brand associated with the mask. There's no market brand associated with the mask, but there is a brand of sorts in the fact that it is a constant reminder of what is out there. It is a constant reminder of what needs to be done. It is a constant reminder of others scary, here safe, let's go home. It is, and I'm not trying to say it forces you. I'm not trying to do anything like that. Again, I'm really talking about like a spectrum or something, and you are just shortening that. You are making people slightly more introverted. You are making people slightly more antisocial. And I don't mean less sociable. I mean worse at socializing because you haven't done it in a while. You're not used to it anymore. And that's for us. That's for the adults. Kids are going around wearing masks and it, as adults, we are able to understand where each other is coming from. We're able to read body language. We're able to like read into stuff, and we just have more and we're also able to control our own emotions a bit better to allow us to read other people better, and we're just better at empathy. Something along the lines of that. Kids are learning that skill. They need every bit of help. Every bit of help gets them going, gets them learning. Ooh, when they like pinched your lips like that, that means something. When I see this kind of like dimple along the cheeks, that means something else. They're registered, they can't tell you this, but this is a big part of their development. And it's a big part of, again, their connection, their ability to say, I understand this person, they understand me. It's quite important. Okay, now let's switch over to the other side for a second. Everyone that doesn't want anything to do with the injection or masks and all the rest. And they think that there's this top-down sort of organization around it. What we all need to understand is that there is a mass psychology. There's a psychology of crowds. You have stampedes, you have riots, you've the stand-byer effect. Like all of these things where people do stuff that they wouldn't normally do, or they don't do stuff that they would usually do. It affects us. Being in a crowd affects us. Being organized en masse is different than organizing ourselves individually. So I would say to be careful of blaming those above, saying the politicians, they're just there to grab, they're there to pull or whatever, which perhaps they are. But there's also this groundswell. There's a grassroots sort of movement, or whatever way you want to phrase it. But people are genuinely afraid, and they are putting pressure on their politicians, on the people around them, to adhere, to increase the measurements being invoked and stuff like that. There are people on the pro side. So come to it with a bit of humility and treat everyone as a human, and just be like, hey, you're on the other side because of fear, and you're either afraid of authoritarian rule, or you're afraid of your mortality, basically. Last one, and this is a different point. Us as a society, we no longer focus on legacy. We no longer build buildings that will be there for 1,000 years. We just don't. It's we don't have religion or spirituality. We don't have a grander story such as bringing democracy to the world, or Christianity, or whatever else. And then just the economics of having children. It's like we no longer have like a next generation to pass, like on a personal level, to pass on to. And I think that's important. And if you notice, everyone that is, or I feel like the majority of people who are being critical of what's going on at the moment, most of them are moms. Most of them is like mama bear mode kicked in. Like they were fine. It's like, you tell me what to do. Like I have stuff to do. I need to get on with my life. You just tell me what to do. I'll follow the rules and then just stay out of my way. But the minute it came to the kids, they were just like, huh? It's like, if you want to touch a hair on my baby's head, you better tell me every single thing that is up, down, left, right with this whole situation. And I love that. So again, whether they're right or wrong, it's just that they are focused a bit more on legacy. So let's just take a moment at the end of this video to think about what we are leaving behind for the next generation, because like it's affecting us in a certain way. It's affecting our ability to make money because we have to take days off. It's affecting our ability to make new friends, to hold on to friends, to even have the energy to go out and socialize or whatever else. Like I wouldn't fancy growing up in this. Like I'd be too naive to even know the difference, and that's the worst part. That's like I've a kid, and I try and protect him as best I can. I think he's doing pretty good, but I'd prefer if he didn't have to deal with it. Again, maybe he will. Maybe once we have the adult conversation, it will be a world of masks. I pray that it is not a world of forced vaccines. That scares the shit out of me. But whatever. But there's going to be steps. Maybe social distancing is important. Maybe, for the love of God, can we start just promoting vitamin D? As in, like, you know, vitamin D, vitamin C. It's just like the ones that are good for all the other flus. It's like, can we just have it? Anyway, let's not get into the health side of it. As I said, we're going to stay on the psychology side. But let's just think about the world that we are living for the kids. Because I feel like we're doing them a disservice. It's gone on, like we can wait in the car for like an hour. They can wait in the car for 20 minutes. It's been 2 years. It's like, we're getting tired of waiting in the car at this stage. They don't know any better, but fuck, they're exhausted. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think. This is a conversation. This is me trying to reach out. I've been quiet for way too long, and it's worst comes to worst, we need to know who's around. And if it's any better than that and the conversation happens, thank you. So let's start that conversation. Let me know what you think. Comments down below or just DM me, either one. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.